Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I dipped into my newest palette purchase. This is the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. I went back and forth as to whether I wanted to get this one or to get the rose quartz, and I ended up deciding on this one because I like the color story a little bit more, although I prefer the packaging of rose quartz. So pretty. Anyway, today's video is going to be a tutorial for this eyeshadow look. I'm also going to be talking about the benefits of buying bargain because this is a $67 eyeshadow palette and I did not pay that. And I wanted to touch upon BH Cosmetics and the fact that they have declared bankruptcy. I think that's of interest considering that BH is one of my favorite eyeshadow brands and I do a lot of BH tutorials, so I thought that I would touch on that in one of my videos. So if you have interest in any of those topics, then stick around and we'll get into that together. And if you haven't been here before, my name is Rachel. Hello and welcome. I am a homeschooling stay-at-home mom who knows very little about makeup, but I love to play with eyeshadow, especially colorful eyeshadow. And if you like to see tutorials, comparisons, declutters, collection videos, anything like that, then please consider liking and subscribing. Comment below with what you'd like to see. I am always open to considering requests. Don't forget that you can find me on Instagram at Shimmers and Silver. And without further ado, let's get into this video. So this is my second time playing with the Mercury Retrograde palette. My first attempt was, I tried to make a video and it was a horrible, awful mess. So I'm just, take two. I am going to prime my eyes using the NYX primer in white. I wanted to start off this video by talking about the benefits of buying bargain because this Mercury Retrograde palette from Huda is actually a pretty expensive eyeshadow palette. Huda is certainly a luxury brand, and for someone who generally spends, you know, $15-ish on an eyeshadow palette, it's a little staggering to me that I would be using something that costs $60, $70. But I have bought several items off of sites or apps like Poshmark. I've also sold several things there when I declutter. And I know there are others. I think Mercari is one. There are various places to do this. And I got this Mercury Retrograde palette off of Poshmark. If you're coming to my channel for the latest makeup releases, honestly, you probably won't get that here, at least not in this season of my life, because I'm not buying things as they drop, not usually. Not unless it's something really, really special, and I have room in my budget for it, and it fills a hole in my collection. I certainly wouldn't buy a Huda palette when it launched, because as amazing as the eyeshadow quality may be, I'm not going to spend close to $100 for eyeshadow. That to me is just a little too rich for my blood. I was raised in a good home, but we didn't have a lot. I remember brushing our teeth with just baking soda because we couldn't afford toothpaste, and we ate a lot of rice casseroles because rice is cheap. We didn't have money to spend on extravagances. Parents are very thrifty, and my mom especially is very frugal, and so those concepts are deeply ingrained in me, and the idea of spending $60 or $70 or $80 on makeup of any kind is yeah, it's not for me. I'm taking a medium-sized blending brush, and I'm gonna dip into the shade Crash right here. So I knew that using a site such as Poshmark, I would be able to have access to, you know, some high quality products at a relatively affordable price. The thing is, I just had to wait for them. Because I wasn't interested in getting the release when it dropped, like first thing. I am not currently such a big YouTube channel that anyone is gonna come to me for a first impression. Like I'm with this palette, again, I think I'm 2 years behind. Like that trend has gone. And now it's a staple for so many people within their collections. I think that's one of the best things about buying bargain. Like if you're willing to wait, you can get things for a steal, because what happens is with these new releases, they get super hyped and all amped up and people get excited and they sell out and then they're restocked and it's all very exciting. But some people find that they don't use that item as much as they expected to. Or maybe they don't like that item as much as they expected to. Or maybe because the thrill is not so much the item itself, but the anticipation for the item. And so that item doesn't get used as much and it gets, you know, set off to the side, and then the next thrill of anticipation comes along. And I just wanted to go through some things that I've bought secondhand, like eyeshadow that I've bought secondhand, and extol the virtues of waiting a little while if you're not interested in getting it right away, but you do want that item, sorry, I have a hair. It's like stuck in my eyelashes. I'm like, I can't get it away, I can't move it. Okay, anyway, if you're willing to be patient and bide your time and wait for people to get tired of something and start like offloading it, you can get some great deals. I'm now taking a denser and slightly fatter blending brush and I'm dipping into the shade Hot Mess. Right here. Ooh, this beautiful berry tone. It's very pretty. I'm gonna put this in my outer corner, blend it up a little bit, and like, I don't know, halfway into the crease-ish. Anyway, $67 currently on Huda's website, and I got this for $22 shipped. I think I just said 22, that's not right. I paid $25 for this palette. And $25 to my door, that I could do. I mean, that's still for me on the higher end. Some of my Untitled palettes were like $30, but I didn't pay that. I got them on sale. So this is one of my most expensive individual palettes as far as what I paid, and it's definitely my most expensive as far as what the actual original retail price is. My favorite find on Poshmark has been the At Forest Sight palette between ColourPop and Raw Beauty Kristi. Now, I arrived on the eyeshadow scene long after that palette had been released, sold out, I think restocked, sold out again, and everyone was still raving about it. That is one exception to the whole hyped up and then forgotten about rule. Like, people love that palette, and when I saw pictures of it, I understood why. The At Forest Sight palette was universally loved. Everyone who had it loved it, and it was really hard to find secondhand anywhere. And so I just kind of kept my eye out on Poshmark, and once in a while you'd see somebody list it. They probably paid $18 originally. I don't know for sure what the original price point was, but they would list it on Poshmark for $80, $100, $65, and I'm like, come on, I'm not gonna do that. Like, yes, I really, really, really want that palette. It's so beautiful. Everything about it is beautiful. If you've seen my ColourPop ranking video, I definitely ooh and off over the At Forest Sight palette for a good amount of time. So I'm not gonna do that here. But yes, I really wanted it. No, I wasn't gonna spend more than like 20 bucks for it. And I understand, you know, they own the palette, they got it, they're allowed to ask whatever price they want. Somebody somewhere would buy it, and I would often get notifications, you know, a palette that you liked just sold, and it was the At Forest Sight, and they sold it for $70. But they didn't sell it to me for $70. Anyway, so I got my At Forest Sight palette off Poshmark. It was listed for, I think, around $35-ish, and I was like, okay, that's a much more reasonable price. I'm not gonna make her an offer. So I offered, and then she countered and we negotiated back and forth. I actually stayed up late to do it because it was bedtime for me, but she was responding like immediately, and I'm like, if I let this go, she's gonna sell it to somebody else. No delay. So I stayed up late and negotiated with her until we got it down to $22 shipped. And that's where the 22 came in from the Huda palette. Huda was 25 shipped. At Forest Sight for me was 22 shipped. And I was very excited about that. I was so, she's like, sold. I'm like, yes! Oh, so excited. And then it came in and I like ran off to a quiet room where I could look at it and appreciate all its prettiness without distracting my daughter from her school. Now I'm gonna take a large pencil brush and I'm gonna dip into the shade Vortex. Did you know that Mercury Retrograde was a thing? I didn't know it was a thing. Apparently it's something to do with, I don't know, astrology or astronomy. I looked up Mercury Retrograde looking for the palette and I got all this information about stars and galaxies and I was confused for a moment. But that does explain this sort of moon element on the outer packaging. I don't have any interest in that, and so I was like, oh what? Mercury Retrograde's a thing? I just thought it was like a cool palette name. I'm a dork. Okay, I'm dipping into that dark shade, Vortex. And as you may have guessed, I'm going deep in my outer corner. I think that a lot of people like bargain hunting because of the thrill. Like I was talking about the anticipation of, you know, when Huda launches her one palette of the year, everyone's so excited. That is the anticipation, but the thrill of bargain hunting is waiting for a treasure and then like getting it for a great deal. So for me, that was the At Forest Sight palette, just because I waited and I waited and I waited until I found one that I would be able to afford. and then I went back and forth with the seller, and then I was finally the one to like win the prize. I don't know, it was fun. It was fun and it was exciting, and when the palette arrived, it was so pretty, and I am so glad that I have it because they recently, ColourPop restocked it. I believe at Christie's request. They restocked it for a very limited time, and it sold out within hours, if not minutes. It wasn't up for very long because the people who couldn't get it were so bummed, and everyone was asking, please restock, please restock, please restock, and they finally did. And it just like, people snapped it up, unsurprisingly, because it's a fabulous palette. Anyway, and the third palettes that I wanted to mention, a BH Cosmetics Brunch series palettes. Now these are not like crazy high-end palettes. ColourPop wasn't either. Quality-wise, I knew that they were really good. It's not like they were hard to find. Like I could have gone on BH website and bought them, but I was buying a lot of eyeshadow palettes at the time, and I didn't want to pay full price, so I went on Poshmark and I found Mimosa Palette and Avocado Toast Palette. I think they were originally $15 to $18. I'll tell you why I don't know that information, but I think they were that $15 to $18 range, and I got them each for $7. And so again, it wasn't this insanely great deal like a Huda palette for 20 bucks. But it was still a good deal, and it was still fun that I could get, you know, 2 great quality eyeshadow palettes for less than the price of one of them. Because I'm not trying to jump on the latest thing, and I don't mind waiting, and for me, like, the reason I'm doing YouTube is to provide the content that I consume and to provide other content that maybe I couldn't find, and it's just a creative, fun outlet, and I enjoy engaging with people in the comments. I'm not over here saying that I'm going to buy the latest launches and review them so that you can then decide if you want them. Like, that's not my game right now. I appreciate people who do that, and I watch those channels, but for me, on a budget, stay-at-home mom, one income, that's not where I am right now. So if you're coming here for the latest makeup releases, you'll probably be disappointed, but if you already have a palette that was released a year or 2 ago, and I have it too, I am so happy to do tutorials on it, because not everybody is out there buying the latest thing. Not everybody is jumping on the newest trend. A lot of people are just happy with, you know, I know that this palette is a staple for so many people, so if I can provide tutorials with this palette, you know, people might come find my videos and find them useful. So I'm content in that space. And anything that I don't sell on Poshmark, or anything that I don't want to take the time to sell, I was trying to figure out where I could donate. I was thinking women's shelters or crisis centers, and I thought, well, hey, why would a crisis center need cosmetics? Like, that's not a crisis thing. But at the same time, a woman who's in crisis, whether maybe it's domestic abuse or something, she wants to feel beautiful too. And if a little bit of makeup can make her feel pretty and make her feel human again, if she's homeless or I don't know. Yes, it's just makeup, but if it can make somebody feel a little bit prettier or a little bit more special or seen or valued or important, then there's absolutely value in that. So I was trying to figure out where I could donate gently used or new makeup, and 2 of my viewers actually mentioned Project Beauty Share. I will definitely link that down below. I was so excited that they told me about it, because I'm like, where can I send this stuff, especially with COVID, because so many places are no longer taking donations. But Project Beauty Share is, despite COVID, and I'm sure everything is well sanitized and whatnot before it's passed along, but I'm so excited to have that resource now, because anything that is just gently used or, you know, maybe just wasn't a fit for me, like I've decided to declutter avocado toast, it'll probably end up going to Project Beauty Share, and I'm just so grateful that some people watched my videos and were like, oh wait, we can help with that. So thank you. If you're watching now, thank you so much for recommending that, because I was really, really grateful to have, you know, to have in my files, my mental files, a place where I can send items that are no longer loved by me, but hopefully can be loved by somebody else. Okay, so now I want to talk about BH Cosmetics and the fact that they just filed for bankruptcy. Did anyone see that coming? Anyone? Anyone? No? Yes? Hold that thought. When I first used this Mercury Retrograde palette, I discovered while doing that video that these shimmers are a different formula that I'm not used to. I had to work with it a little bit. I tried a couple of different brushes, and I ended up using this one. It's a Morphe brush. It's pinched and kind of firm, and It's got, Morphe's brushes are a little bit rough. They're not the softest brushes on the market, but I wanted this rough texture to kind of dig into the shadow, because when I used a flat shader brush, it just continued to press the shadow down into the pan, and when I used a fluffy brush, it didn't pick it up at all. So this one was a little bit rough, and I used it to sort of irritate the shadows, agitate them a bit, and then I could pick them up. So I'm going to dip into the shade Galaxy right here. It's kind of a soft gold shade. So I'm dipping into that shade, and then I'm going to spray my brush. And I'm going to place this on my lid, starting in the inner corner and working out. So let's talk about BH Cosmetics. I believe it was on January 14th, like a week ago, they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Now, I am not an attorney and I don't know much about bankruptcy law, but I'm going to explain it to you very briefly as far as I understand it. So there are different kinds of bankruptcy that you can file, and a Chapter 11 bankruptcy is kind of a Hail Mary. It's sort of the last-ditch attempt to save a company. And as far as I understand, what that means is they can continue operating, but they will be selling off assets and restructuring the company. Now, usually when companies file this, it means that they have a lot of debt and they're trying to recoup any amount of money to help pay down that debt. So selling off assets may be inventory, it may be intellectual property, it may be trademarks, whatever. And I had heard someone say that they thought BH had a buyer and they were trying to, maybe the buyer fell through, and that kind of put them in a tight spot where they ended up having to declare bankruptcy to restructure to try to recover after the buyer fell through. I don't know if there's any validity to that, but that's what I've heard. And so as far as selling off stock, I went on the website today because I was looking to see how much the Brunch palettes cost. And the Brunch palettes are not on the website. In fact, if you go to Eyes to just look up eyeshadow palettes, there's a very limited selection. Most of it is discounted, and it's not complete sets. Like, a lot of the Say It collection is there. A couple of the less exciting travel palettes are there. There's very little there, and so I think they're selling off inventory because you can't get it there. Like, I searched specific things. I looked up blueberry muffin, I looked up mimosa, and no results found. So I found that to be interesting, because if they're still operating but they've taken off most of the items from their site, then they're just selling off inventory. So what I found interesting about this is actually people's responses. And I found out the news, I heard the news yesterday that the BH had declared bankruptcy. And I watched some videos and I read some articles, and I just wanted to kind of go over how people within the beauty community are reacting to the information, more specifically why they think it's happened. So I have a little list here, and I'm just going to go down the list. A lot of this information I give credit to Heather Austin and Angelica Nyquist, because a lot of these are some opinions that they had formed, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm going to take a small pencil brush and dip into this shade. I want to try this shade Supermoon over here. It looks really flaky, and I'm not sure. I'm just kind of rubbing my brush into it. It is a little bit flaky, so I'm going to dip and then spray my brush. I want to try it in my inner corner. So let's continue talking about BH, because this eyeshadow look is actually getting close to being done. This is all speculation, but some people's theories on why BH had to declare bankruptcy people's theories are interesting, and I think that they make sense. One of their theories is collaborating with celebrities and expecting that those collaborations would pay off in a big way. Again, I haven't been in the cosmetic world long enough to form a lot of solid opinions on this, because I haven't personally seen it, but people who have are saying that celebrity collaborations are not such a big deal anymore. A lot of people just don't care. Celebrities are not followed in the same way that they used to be. And to take a random celebrity and partner with them to make a cosmetics launch, if they're not a cosmetics person, that doesn't always work out so well. But if the person is within the beauty world, like Raw Beauty Christie, she was already in the beauty world. She was kind of a celebrity within YouTube. She had a ton of followers within the realm of makeup. She had people who respected her opinion as far as makeup application and durability and how long it lasted and how, if it was dry or if it was smooth, and she had a following in that arena. So to collaborate with her ColourPop or Pure and Raw Beauty Kristi, like to collab with Raw Beauty Kristi made a lot of sense because everyone that she touched within her sphere of influence was related to makeup or was interested in makeup and would more likely buy the products that she had worked on. That makes tons of sense. But collaborating with, I don't know, Christina Aguilera to do a brand of lipstick, that probably wouldn't have the same reach because Christina Aguilera is not in that space, you know? Does that make sense? So, celebrity collaborations didn't pay off the way that BH was expecting. That's one of the theories. And I think somebody had said that, like, the CEO of BH Cosmetics might have mentioned that as well. Okay, because I know that I've got more to say, I'm just gonna do the rest of my face on camera and continue talking. What I always do under my eyes is just some concealer to brighten it up, and then usually a setting powder to keep it in place, and that's all. So I'm doing Instant Age Rewind Eraser Multi-Use Concealer in the shade Ivory. By, who is it by? Maybelline. It's by Maybelline. And I just have a flat, I think it's called a kabuki brush. I really don't know. Eyeshadow is my thing. Honestly, I only do anything under my eyes in order to make the eyeshadow look brighter. So moving on with BH speculation. And this is speculation. I have no evidence for any of this. This is simply what people within the community have seen and think might be the cause for the bankruptcy. It seems that BH Cosmetics has not placed a lot of value on social media and sending PR to influencers. And I think that's interesting. I think that's a really good point. Social media is very important, and if a brand does not have a strong social media presence, especially for something like cosmetics, which is very, very visual, that can be super detrimental. Like, why are you not blowing up social media with your new launches, your new products, who you're working with? You can, people love to be featured, so, you know, create a hashtag like ColourPopMe, and people will use that hashtag every time they use your product because they want to be seen, they want to be featured. They would feel super special if you put them in your stories and highlighted their account to all of your followers. That's a big deal. And I've heard from people that BH Cosmetics did not do that very well, and I wouldn't know because I didn't follow BH Cosmetics. I didn't really like a lot of their marketing choices and photographs and whatnot, so I didn't want to see that sort of thing on my feed. But I've heard from a lot of people that they just didn't do a very good job of that. And then as far as YouTubers and not putting enough stock in the influence of YouTubers, and I'm not talking about myself, me and all of my 40 followers, and that's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about people like Angelica Nyquist, for example. Angelica has like 100,000 followers. She's, I would say, probably a medium-sized YouTube channel, medium-large. I mean, she doesn't have millions of followers, even though she's awesome. But the point is, she reviews a crap ton of makeup. So much makeup in all the areas, not just eyeshadow, but tons of things. And she buys a lot of makeup, and she also receives a lot in PR. And the fact that a company like BH Cosmetics would not take advantage of that to send PR to the people who are hugely influencing your customer base, that's just unwise. I discovered BH Cosmetics and bought a lot of BH Cosmetics solely based on the recommendations of Angelica Nyquist. And then they were confirmed by a lot of other people, but I liked her, I followed her, I watched her videos, I saw what she loved, and I bought the product. That's how it goes down. And so if you're not taking advantage of a social media influencer or a YouTuber or anybody who does that sort of thing within your business arena, it's just foolish. Now I'm taking CoverGirl Clean Professional Loose Powder in the shade 110, and I just kind of dip my flat brush into that and pat it under my eyes. Anyway, moving to the next point, because I'm getting finished over here and I don't want this video to be a million hours long. Here's something that I think Heather Austin brought to light, was that BH was having so many sales. So why would you buy full price off of the website when you could just wait a little while and get a great discount? You know, 25, 30, 40, 50% off the website. I mean, I think I saw the Totally Plastic collection like 50% off of the website every single time I went on the website. Why? Was it because it wasn't selling and they were just trying to, you know, hey, it's 50% off, grab it while it's here, you might as well, right? Or were they trying to hype it and say, it's a great deal, you should get it, or I don't know. But having sales all the time ends up just devaluing your product because people figure, well, I can just wait. There's no reason to pay full price. I think this eyeshadow looks really pretty. I love these tones. This shimmer is definitely like a rose gold. It's really beautiful. I'm gonna take a small pencil brush and I want to go into, I think I'm gonna keep within this pink mauvey sort of family. So I'm gonna go into the shade Libra here. And I'm gonna run this on my lower lash line starting in the outer corner, and I haven't decided if I'll do the whole thing or just part of it. There's one more topic that I wanted to touch on about BH Cosmetics, and that is that they didn't really launch new product lines. They do eyeshadow really, really well, but not everybody's interested in eyeshadow. And eyeshadow is also something which you don't go through very quickly. It's not a quickly consumed product. Like, I have enough eyeshadow to last me my whole life. I think that I've heard that eyeshadow expires. I don't know how it would expire. I suspect maybe it dries out, like the creamier formulas, maybe they get dry, or maybe the pigment just fades over time. I don't know, but I have heard that eyeshadow expires. But a lot of people just don't go through eyeshadow very quickly. And unless they have some sort of social media or YouTube account where they are using lots of different palettes, there's really no reason to have a ton of eyeshadow. If you love a very basic pink eyeshadow look, then this or the Smoke and Roses palette from ColourPop, like, there are options out there where one palette will last you ages. So while BH did eyeshadow very well, it's not the sort of product that people are going to use up quickly and come back for. It's not that, like, it might be a favorite, but it's a one-time purchase favorite. I think I do want to carry this Libra shade all the way to my inner corner and finish up this topic about BH Cosmetics. So they didn't branch into other items. Like, if you went on their website and looked at their selection of lip products, it was small. Selection of cheek product, foundation, brow products, like there wasn't really anything there. And ColourPop has been doing this well, where, yeah, they started off with Super Shock shadows, that's what made them famous. And then they started launching palettes, and then they started launching other kinds of eye products, and then they started launching other, lip products, cheek products, face products, foundation, eye primers, and then I think they just launched like a rejuvenating mask of some kind. They didn't just stick to the thing that they were good at. And I will say, like, some of their new launches have not been huge hits, but some have. Like I've heard mixed reviews about the Cheek Dew. Some people say it's too sticky or too goopy. I have seen videos where the Cheek Dew tubes, like the product has separated within the tubes, and that's just gross. So maybe that wasn't a hit. Maybe the color sticks, like those pencil stick eyeshadows that were launched with, for example, the Limoncello collection, generally I think have not been a hit. But other things, like the cream gel eyeliners, I love those. Those things are great, they're fabulous. I really like the lip oil from ColourPop. They've got a ton of different lip options. I've heard that the Super Shock blushes are very good as well. So they did eyeshadow well, but they didn't only stay in eyeshadow. They realized that their consumers are not gonna come, you're not gonna have the same person come back month after month after month for new eyeshadow purchases, especially just the average everyday consumer who's not going through it that quickly. Going back to that small pencil brush and going back into the Supermoon shade, that shimmery white, again dipping into the pan and then spraying it, and I'm going to drag that down from my inner corner onto the lower lash line a bit because it's pretty. So ColourPop has done this well, where they had a great product, they built up a happy customer base, and then they started releasing new products, and some of those products are, you don't burn through them quickly like a blush duo, but some of the products you do. If you're using the pretty fresh face moisturizer and primer or whatever it is, you go through that, every 2 months? I mean, it depends on how much you use, but you go through it. It's a much more quickly consumed product. And if you like it, then you go back to the website and you buy it again. Repeat customers can bring a lot more value to a company than one-time customers. So ColourPop has done that well. BH Cosmetics has not done that well, and I think that has ended up hurting them a lot. I mean, I'm not complaining that BH has fantastic eyeshadow, but if they have fantastic eyeshadow and then they go out of business and you can't get their fantastic eyeshadow, that's something that I would complain about. I'm curious to see how the secondhand market, because back to my buying bargain, how that's gonna look with BH if they go under and do not produce more product. Anyway, I think I've touched on all of the points that I wanted to about BH Cosmetics. I'm sure there are more, and I'm sure that as time goes on, there's going to be a lot more speculation and other people are going to do deeper research into what the whole story is, what it looks like, and how it might or does play out. I'm more likely to just sit back and watch and see what happens. But I did want to mention this on my channel because it's kind of big news within the beauty community, and I have a lot of things from BH Cosmetics, a lot of eyeshadow palette. I really like the quality that they've offered, but I think it's been proven now that eyeshadow cannot keep a company afloat. And within the cosmetics world, you have to do other things. And you have to make wise choices with marketing and branding and who you work with and who you don't work with, and looking at the decisions that were made as far as what a consumer on the outside is able to see. And just how that paid off or how it didn't pay off, what the result was. So I'm going to go off camera and put on some black eyeliner. I'll do a wing mascara. I might do a little bit, speaking of BH Cosmetics, I have this highlighter palette from them. I think it's pronounced Frose. I should look, I don't actually know. I think it's Frose, but it's a pretty highlighter palette, and I'm gonna probably throw one of these on as well. And then I'll be back to show you the final look. All right, here's the finished look. I also put on a ColourPop lip oil in the shade Hey, and some mascara and some setting spray, and that's all. So I really appreciate you hanging out with me. I found this topic very interesting. I'm sad to see that a company whose product I really like is not doing well. However, I think I've made it clear in the past that I don't really approve of some of their business decisions, and if I'm not the only one, then perhaps that, along with some other things, has made enough of a dent in their business that they are considering doing something else. I'm still going to use my BH Cosmetics palettes. I'm curious to see how this story ends up, like if they're going to be able to recover or if it's going to be, you know, a closed out business within the next few months, and I'm not really sure, but I'm curious to see how it plays out. And I really enjoyed playing with my Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. This, I think this eyeshadow look is really very pretty. It's totally different from the one that I did a couple of days ago. The quality in this palette is quite impressive to me. I think I'd heard various reviews, like I'd heard that some people didn't love this palette. I have not had any issues with it at all yet, and I've used about probably 8 different shades in it at this point. Between shimmers and mattes, and I've been enjoying it a lot so far. I think the final look is very classy and kind of refined looking. It's not in your face like wet hyper metallic sort of stuff, but it's still very elegant. I think it's pretty. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for being with me, and please feel free to leave comments below, like what are your thoughts? Did you know about the bankruptcy filing? Do you have opinions? I really have been enjoying interacting with people in the comments below, so let me know what your thoughts are. Don't forget that you can like and subscribe, and until I see you again, have a wonderful day. Bye! This video, the Disney Bambi collection. Disney Bambi. Social media is important because a lot of people will go to Instagram or TikTok or when I say a lot of people, I don't mean me.